Well, we still have challenges here, but the challenges here need to be kept in perspective. When I'm flying home, the most difficult thing for me on a Qantas flight, when they're flying, is actually to hear Australians coming from different parts of the world, and they've had holidays, and you walk down the plane. Being World Vision, you fly economy, so you mix with the people who've made their once in a 3 or 5 year trip overseas. And the most difficult thing is hearing them starting to whinge about Australia. This is bad, and the government's hopeless, and this is shocking, and you know, I've got these bills. Look, I don't want to trivialise pressures. They're real for all of us. We've all got to make ends meet. But for me, coming from Kenya, Somalia, or the places where I've come from, I just have this urge to shake them. I have to physically restrain myself. It's like, can we get perspective here? Can we put this into perspective? I have a 92-year-old father. And a bit like Adam's parents, I don't know if Adam's parents are here today, are they? Aaron's parents, sorry. I am very jet-tired. Are they here? I heard the comment about raising your family, and I reckon your experience is probably like mine with my father. My father always gave 10% of his income away. And over and above that, he had his idea of offerings. 10% was just his tithe. We grew up thinking that's what everyone does. I was speaking in Perth at the invitation of the Governor for a Giving West program. He assembled in Government House all the mega rich in Perth, and I did a bit of research. I discovered that the top 5% of Australians, top income earners, are giving less than 2%. My father, on a school teacher's wage, always gave 10%. I discovered that only 4,000 Australians last year gave a taxable deductible gift of $25,000 or more. Now, we have a lot of millionaires. Unlike America, unlike elsewhere, our rich aren't giving. That is really, really low. They're at Giving West because the Governor, McCosker, over there, is really worried that in the mining boom, people are spending it on $10 million holiday homes and their 7th and 8th car. He is seriously worried that Perth's wealth is actually going in self-indulgence. That's why he invited me over. That's why he's worried. That's why he had this function at Government House. There is this sense that even when we have it, you know, somehow we have it in order to show it, to flaunt it. My father, he's now 92. As a dutiful son, when I go and sit with him in the nursing home, I have the responsibility, because he's been a wonderful father, to listen to his stories, even though they're the same stories over and over again. That's my duty. And because I've heard the stories, I have time to reflect. And the stories go like this. You know, when your mother and I married in 1952, we couldn't afford a double bed base. We had a mattress on the floor. When we married, for the first 3 years, we had blankets for curtains. We couldn't afford curtains. We got a TV when you were 10. We got a car the next year when you were 11, Tim. Because I've heard the stories many times, I can think. In 1979, when I married, of course I had a double bed base, and I had curtains, and I had a car, and I had a TV. And if you're setting up home today, a dishwasher, a microwave, a dryer, a DVD, you know, we are much richer than our parents. We are much richer. But this sense that somehow we're under pressure and we can't give is a loss of perspective, isn't it? And I look at my father and father's generation and I ask, well, were they any less happy for not having all these things? And I know the answer. You know the answer. Happiness isn't simply in having more wealth. Now, there is a wealth to happiness story which is true. If you're living in absolute poverty, the moral panic, the moral anxiety, the moral failure you feel as a parent if you can't feed your child is terrible. The absolute sense of failure if you can't guarantee clean water and education is just terrible. Greater wealth does lead to greater happiness. But we all know that there is, and who knows where the line is, there is a line you cross where greater wealth can mean more stress, more drivenness, more anxiety, loss of purpose. That happiness is in relationship, in living right. So I think we have a story to tell to Australians in this time of turning inwards. Turning inwards, just thinking of self, not being generous, isn't actually how you live out your deepest values and find happiness. It's actually the wrong formula. We need to do what Mike said right at the beginning. We need to start to look outwards, to get perspective, to be grateful. Let me finish by saying, whether it's tackling issues here, whether it's tackling issues overseas, to be generous, to have perspective, to step back, to think, you know, I'm blessed. And the thing that I can pass on most to my kids as the richest gift I can give them is to be generous, to have a global vision. That, looking outwards, looking upwards, is what I invite all of us to do. Thank you.